to another program in our series, Centrally Speaking.
The program that keeps you informed on the work and function of Jamaica's Central Bank, Bank of Jamaica. I'm Anna.
And I'm Sheena, and we are so happy to be with you, our regular viewers, again. And welcome to those of you who are tuning in for the very first time. We are so glad you were able to join us.
Sheena.
Yes.
Riddle me this, riddle me that.
All right, what's the riddle?
Do you know why the stock market is a circus?
No.
No. Because it's got bears and bulls.
Anna, no, Anna. Yeah, go stick to your regular job now. Comedy is just not.
It's kind of for me.
No, Anna, you're bad. But that's okay, though.
It's still a bear and bull, though.
A for effort. Yeah. So we have a great show lined up for you today. Guess what? We visited the CBX studio at the Jamaica Stock Exchange, and the managing director, Dr. Marlene Street Forrest, told us all about the very important work of the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
All right, so keep watching to see that interview later on. But first, let's hear from our people in the street. It's time for the Street Check.
And do you know what the Jamaica Stock Exchange does?
No, not really.
It helps companies to go public and raise money.
They connect buyers and sellers to the stock market.
They help a business to capitalize on their market, to go public. And with also that being public, it actually drags customers, because who would want a company that doesn't drag customers to make a big profit on that, right?
From what I understand is that it facilitates trade, of different goods, if it's commodities or different companies. It facilitates persons who want to invest in the country, without you personally having to use your own funds or set up that particular business to do it.
The purpose of the Jamaica Stock Exchange is to basically watch how much everything I go for. You can look for see, all right, say the US dollar now is this amount of money, so that means that me can change it over to this amount of money. Yeah, that's how me understand about the stock exchange.
Always interesting hearing what you have to say in the streets.
Hey, Jamaicans get savvy with their money.
Very. And that was the Street Check.
As we welcome Dr. Marlene Street Forrest, Managing Director of the Jamaica Stock Exchange Group. Welcome to Centrally Speaking, Dr. Forrest.
Thank you for having me.
So good to see you.
You too.
Dr. Forrest, I'll start right off. The Stock Exchange is a group of companies. What companies comprise the group, and what does each company in the group do?
The companies that are with the stock exchange comprising the group is the Jamaica Stock Exchange itself, and we have the Jamaica Central Securities Depository, we have the JCSD Trustee Services, and the Jamaica Social Stock Exchange.
Right. Could you tell us what they do?
Okay, so the Jamaica Stock Exchange itself is the market, and what it does is allow persons to get funds, and that's persons. When we're talking about that, we're talking about companies,
right,
to get funds to grow their business. And what that would do is to mobilize savings of the nation, and that saving is given to various companies so that they can improve their business, they can pay down debt, all of that. And those actions will help to grow the business. And on the other hand, those persons who give those funds are called investors or shareholders, and they reap a benefit from the company because they have invested in the company. So they benefit based on getting a dividend if the company does well. They might get bonus shares if the company does well. And because the stock exchange operates a market, and by operating that market each day, you know how the stock performs. The stock might go higher than the price at which they bought it. And that is called capital appreciation. So if you bought it for $2 and it's now $3, that extra dollar is what you would have earned. And with the stock exchange, you pay no tax if you were to sell that stock. So that is a benefit compared to if you were to invest, say, in a loan. Those bonds or so, you might be required to pay tax on that. But when you sell your shares. If you are not doing it as a business itself, you pay no tax on that.
All right. And,
Okay.
and the securities depository.
And the Jamaica Stock Exchange operates as securities depository because what we do is offer end-to-end service. So the securities depository is there to allow for the smooth settlement of transactions. So when you would have bought a stock, you have an account at this Jamaica Central Securities Depository. What it means is also that you could not buy a stock unless you have an account there. You could not sell a stock unless you have an account there. And there is a seamless transaction where a stock cannot be sold across the exchange unless you can identify that that stock is there. So you cannot have any overselling. When that stock is sold, then the person who sold it must get money. When the person who buys it, that person must get the stock. And so that is a cash settlement on the one hand, and then there is a security settlement on the other hand. So the seller, it would come out of that seller's account and go into your account as shares, and the buyer would also get the stock in their account.
So Marlene, you spoke to some of the functions of the stock exchange. Now share with us and our viewers what are some of the other functions of the stock exchange.
Other key functions are the regulation of the market. And by regulation of the market, it is that we regulate the listed companies and we also regulate the member dealers. On a daily basis, we have to regulate the market to see what is happening on the market that is the trading platform. We also do market education so that persons understand what they are getting into in terms of buying or selling stocks on the market. So it is a continuous training and regulation and market education.
So for most of us, we know there are two markets on the stock exchange, the main market and more recently the junior market. You know, some of us know that the main market is where blue chip or the more established companies trade their stocks. So you can settle it for us. What is the difference between the main and the junior market?
Okay, so the main market caters for more senior, bigger companies that are listed, and the junior market caters for small and medium-sized companies. There are certain benefits that you get from listing your shares on the junior market that you do not get for a listing on the main market. Because one is about incubating and helping the smaller companies to grow. So a major benefit of the junior market is that those companies get 10 years tax holiday in terms of corporate tax. 5 years where they pay no corporate tax, and the other 5 years where they pay 50% of the prevailing rate. There is a cap to the amount that they can raise on the market. It is now 750 million in equity capital that can be Jamaican dollars. The junior market companies must have a mentor, and that mentor is to assist them in terms of good governance, and so they can grow. And in terms of listing fees, they pay 50% of what the main market pays. So there are quite a number of benefits just to ensure that those companies grow and continue to have good governance and continue to expand their business.
So there are other markets outside of the main and junior markets,
Yes,
right?
yes.
All right, so you want to tell us a little bit about that and who are the players within those markets?
Okay, you have the US dollar equities market, and what it does is cater for companies who list in US dollars and raise funds on the market via the US dollars. As simple as that. Everything else remains the same. Okay. And also for the bond market, and when we talk about the main market and the junior market, we primarily are talking about equities. That is where an individual own a part of that business, right? Sure. When you talk about equities. So the bond market is really debt. So at some point in time, that investment matures, that security matures. You know, so it might be a bond, and it might be a 10-year bond at a fixed rate, 6% per annum, and so that would be the bond market. And so investors can invest in the equities market, and they can also invest in the bond market.
The stock exchange has implemented a number of initiatives to help the public to understand what it does, the services it offers, and more about the companies within the group. You want to tell our viewers, you know, about some of those learning opportunities offered by the exchange.
Okay, so the stock exchange ensures that we start from just the young people.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you get persons young, there's less work down the road, right?
Right.
So we are paving that road. So for the high school students, we offer the stock market game. And the stock market game is a simulation. It's a simulated game where it really mimics and use the information from the market for them to play. They get a certain amount of money, and that's virtual money.
Real money.
Right. And they within the schools, and they will, you know, they are taught how to trade. And they will do that, and then at the end of the day, they compete with other schools and determine who is the winner based on how large the portfolio has grown. Now, we have that for the schools, but we also have that for the public.
Okay.
So, you know, we have to catch also people, and learning with fun
Yes.
is a good way. So we also have that for the public game. We also have the outreach programs
Right.
that we share the information on how to buy and sell and all of that. We go into the workplace. So we have the workplace outreach as well, where we go in and tell people how to understand the market. We have our e-campus.
Yes.
Okay.
And the e-campus is about training everyone.
Okay.
And, you know, when you want to develop a market, the best thing to do is to ensure that everyone within the environment can learn.
How does one get listed within the markets?
If you are a company,
Yes.
and you say, you know, I would like to get more capital into my business, let us start there. There are certain requirements to list on the market. One, I'm going to use just the most popular one, and that would be through the initial public offering. So you are going to offer, and everybody hears about it, IPO, and then nowadays we are hearing about APO, which is additional public offering. But let us stick with IPO. So that's the initial public offering. So you want to attract persons to your business. So we encourage people. One, you have to have a plan, and that's your business plan, right? So you have to have that, know what you're going to be offering, because every listing tells a story of what you are doing, a story of what is going to be the return on that investment to the shareholder. I am coming in to your business, you have to make the case.
Yeah.
And so these are some of the preliminary things that you have to get in place. You'll have to also ensure that you have financial statements. Now, most companies, that is where we find that there is a problem. And not only financial, but audited financial statements. So if you are in business for more than 5 years, you are required to have 5 years audited financial statement. Naturally, if you are there less than that, it's less than that, right? And then you will be required to, if your business is already incorporated as a private company, then it is public monies you're going to get, right?
Right.
So you'll have to change that status of incorporation from private to public.
Which means you're limited.
Yeah, no. Well, you can have a private limited company, but you'll have to change it to public limited
Okay.
company.
Okay.
Now, your attorney will help you with that. So you're here, I've introduced attorney. So you're going to have to get an attorney
Ah.
because you're going to offer what is called through the IPO a prospectus. And the prospectus is that document that tells that story about your board.
Yes.
You have to have a board of directors. And say you are a junior market company, you have to have something called a remuneration committee, so that when you get that money, you can't just give it to Tom, Dick, and Harry. There is an accountability process, right?
Yes.
And then you have to have an audit committee. All companies must have, whether they are main or junior, must have an audit committee. And they must have a board of directors. And they must have independent members on the board of directors. So these are some of the structures that the company must have in place.
So, viewers, we are here at the Jamaica Stock Exchange and we are with Dr. Marlene Street Forrest. And we've heard so far about the functions of the stock exchange, the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s about how you can be listed on the stock exchange. And now we're at the point of a break and we'll be right back. Stay with us.
From the studios of the Jamaica Stock Exchange, we're back with Dr. Marlene Street Forrest, Managing Director of the Jamaica Stock Exchange. We continue the discussion with her now. So, Marlene, this is where the part of the show will get nice. Talk about the nice things. On January 18, 2019, Bloomberg Business named the Jamaica Stock Exchange as the world's best performing exchange.
Right.
Congratulations again. So what has been the impact of that kind of announcement on the exchange?
Bloomberg itself said we were the best performing exchange also in the world.
Yay.
So it was 2015
And 2019.
and 2019.
Yay.
So we need to talk to you.
Yes.
So, yes, better.
All right.
So, you know, that sort of accolade puts you on the map.
Right.
Because I remember in 2019 in particular, that the entire Jamaican population everywhere in the world was very proud.
Yes.
Ah.
Yes,
Yes.
it was a talking point.
Proud man.
Well, what it means is that we outperformed more than 92 exchanges in the world in terms of the return that the stock exchange provided
Wow.
for the market.
Wow.
Yes, so that's good.
Yeah.
That's
And
excellent.
really, it would have said that many shareholders really did well,
Yeah.
right?
Make a lot of money.
Yes, and what they would say is that our listed companies did extremely well.
Right.
You know, and it also showed how well we were doing as an economy, and it also showed how well persons were benefiting. So many persons who would not have heard about, even Jamaicans overseas,
Yes.
that a stock exchange existed. Because you'd be,
Imagine.
you'd be surprised, irrespective of how much market education and outreach you do,
Yes.
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 that still you have pockets
Yes.
of people who will say, oh, we have a stock exchange.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So, you know, that's a promotion in and of itself. And, you know, promotions are good.
We notice a lot of Jamaican companies are now being listed in the stock exchange. You want to tell us, is that a deliberate strategy?
Yes, it is. It is really, we are benefiting from market education, where companies understand. Because first you had companies saying, if I list, will I lose my company? You know, will I lose control of my company? But as I've said in previously, you only need to offer to the public 20%. Now, if you do the maths, 80% is left, right?
Yes.
Right. So it's market education. People understand. People also understand now that equity capital
Yes.
is patient capital. Because remember, when you borrow
Yes.
from the bank, there's a place for that. Let me say that first. But when you borrow from the bank, there's interest to pay.
That is true.
And it starts from day one. When you have an investment, ask for equity capital, it's patient, because if the company is still building itself and cannot pay dividend, it just cannot pay dividend.
Right.
So you get that capital to grow the business. And because of the benefit, especially from the junior market, obviously that is real benefit, so that the monies that you'd get as profit, you can plow back into the business. You do not have to pay corporate tax. And that is one of the problems people would normally have. And so we have over 45 companies listed on the junior market.
Right.
In total, we have 102 companies listed on the combined markets.
So Marlene, a world-recognized stock exchange, no doubt, is exploring opportunities to collaborate overseas with overseas markets. I understand that is going on. Tell us about that push, and to what end?
Okay, so we have signed memorandum of understanding with quite a number of exchanges. The Cayman Exchange. Well, we have always cooperated with Trinidad and Barbados Stock Exchange, Eastern Caribbean Stock Exchange. We have signed with Ghana Stock Exchange, Canadian Securities Exchange, and a few others that we are working on. And the idea is that when you collaborate, you grow.
Yes.
Okay.
You feed off ideas that other exchanges, the things that they are doing, and you incorporate it in your own. That's how you grow.
Yes.
And that is how also we expect that we will improve and expand our exchange through cross listings. So these are some of the things. We also look at what other exchanges might be doing in terms of, say, moving from T+2 to, say, a T+1, just trading +1,
time.
shorter time, and you move with them, because you know that your investors expect that you will be following global trends.
Right.
So these are some of the reasons why we collaborate with
Okay.
other exchanges in the region and worldwide.
So from your vantage point, of course, the stock exchange has had a lot of accomplishments, has developed. You're touching schools, you're touching the wider community, social exchange. What is the future of the stock exchange?
Okay, so the stock exchange has a strategic plan, right?
Right.
And we must be featured in all aspects of an individual's financial planning. Any way you take it, we are supposed to be there at some place,
Right.
whether it is trustee services, whether it is buying stocks, whether it is in the debt market, any part of the game.
Yes.
That the stock exchange must be there. So you notice we build out, and what we do is we are driven to do that via technology.
Okay.
Right. So if you notice that when there was a COVID, it really didn't stop the stock exchange, because we had the online trading platform.
Right.
So persons could easily stay at home comfortably and and trade. And we saw that movement, right? You are catering for the younger generation.
Right.
So again, technology is where we are. So at some point in time, obviously, you will be able to use that cell phone that we use so often,
Yes.
and just place your trades on it, right? So these are some of the things that we will offer to the market.
Marlene, we could go on for days.
Yes,
right?
we could.
I want to thank you for joining us here on Centrally Speaking. Well,
It was
for
a
having
pleasure.
us at the Jamaica Stock Exchange for Centrally Speaking.
It was a pleasure joining you on Central, and also to have you in our home.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yes, it's a fair exchange.
Yes.
Exactly.
No robbery.
You notice it's collaboration.
Yeah, of
Yes.
course.
Yes. And I really am pleased that we could be having this interview with the Bank of Jamaica Central Speak.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you so much. Dr. Marlene Street Forrest, Managing Director of the Jamaica Stock Exchange Group. You've been watching Centrally Speaking. Welcome back to Centrally Speaking. On today's episode, we visited the Jamaica Stock Exchange and had a chat with Dr. Marlene Street Forrest, Managing Director of the JSE, who explained the work of the organization. Let's review the conversation. It's time for the Fast Facts. So, number one, the Jamaica Stock Exchange has evolved into a group of companies called the JSE Group, comprised of the Jamaica Stock Exchange, Jamaica Central Securities Depository, Jamaica Trustee Services, and the Jamaica Social Stock Exchange. Number two, the JSE regulates listed companies and securities dealers and is responsible for market education. Number three, the JSE launched its cable television station, the Caribbean Business Exchange, or CBX, on August 24, 2022. Number four, the JSE operates 5 markets, namely the main market, junior market, US-denominated market, bond market, and the private market. Interesting. And number 5, the JSE's Market Development Department can take a small business through the entire process of listing on the stock market. For the purpose of the JSE, a small business is one that is earning at least $100 million per year. And that's it for the Fast Facts.
And that's it for our program this week, guys.
Follow us on X and Facebook at Central Bank JA, at Central Bank Jamaica on Instagram, and on BOJ's YouTube channel. You can also visit the website at boj.org.jm.
We also invite you to send in your questions on X or Facebook.
Please. And of course, watch Centrally Speaking next week at the same time right here on your station, when we will have another special guest. I'm Anna.
And I'm Sheena. Thanks for watching. Centrally Speaking is a production of Bank of Jamaica.